We have a trade to announce. I sound like Jerry. The
Whoa.
Maple Leafs have acquired Dakota Joshua from the Vancouver Canucks, I believe, for a fourth-round pick. Is that right, JP? A
Yeah, fourth
fourth-round
round
pick
pick.
for
He's coming
Dakota
home.
Joshua.
Dakota Joshua coming home. He was drafted by
He was
Toronto.
drafted by the Leafs. I think he's a Michigan kid. I believe he was born in Michigan. But, yeah, he was drafted by the Leafs. And, he had health issues last year, obviously, that, delayed the start of his season. His numbers were not off the charts this past year, but the year before he had a career year for him. He had a very good year, very productive year. But he can play center, he can play wing. He's a big guy. It's kind of like is this kind of like another Nicholas Waugh? Like, how would you describe, Joshua
Yeah,
and what kind of role he's going to play for the Leafs?
he's like, because we've been talking about what Brad Treliving says. Like last year it was more snot. This year it's DNA that needs to change. This guy fits the mold of what Brad Treliving is talking about, and he can be a difference maker. Like 2 years ago, when he was there in Vancouver with Rick Tocchet, Tocchet was really hard on him. You need to be confrontational. You need to be a guy that makes people uncomfortable on the ice, and if you can do that, you can make a difference. And Dakota Joshua, to his credit, did that and had a really good season. He had like 18 goals and in 63 games, was half a point per game. But more importantly than that, it was the way that he played. He was a difficult player to play against. He was physical. He was abrasive. And so if you think about what Toronto is trying to do now and how they're trying to turn over some of that DNA, yeah, like I get it. It's not 102 points Mitch Marner. Like there's never going to be the one replacement, but they're trying to patch it up in a different way. And if he's healthy, he has that element of trying to make people uncomfortable on the ice with the way that he plays, how confrontational he is, how physical he is. So this is going to be like this is a guy who fits a role in a really nice way for Toronto.
100%. That the 2 years ago he was a really good player. He can skate, he can score, he can hit, and he's got a little bit of like as you mentioned, kind of like that Marchand, Evander Kane kind of annoying presence on the ice. He's noticeable. I want to say he was with. Was it with what's that little guy that plays for Vancouver?
Bluger and Garland. It was their line.
Garland.
Joshua,
Garland.
Bluger, and Garland at that third
They're
line in Vancouver 2 years ago was one of the best in the league.
really
Like third
good.
lines wise. Anyways.
100%, really good. So do you put him up beside, is it maybe Lawton or beside Nick Waugh, and try to get that going again, right? And just the other day we were talking about the third line or the bottom six for the Leafs. I think this adds something there. I think he can score, he can hit, he can be a lot of things. Now, what is his cap? Isn't it like $3 or $4 million?
It's in the high threes.
Yeah.
It's just under four.
So which player are you getting? Was it the player 2 years ago or last year? Last year, as you mentioned, I think he actually had testicular cancer.
He did,
I think,
yeah.
And the treatment really, and that would have thrown his. I mean, just all that, emotionally, not to mention physically, what that does. I don't think he ever got on track. But coming home and be energized. I like this kind of, for a fourth round pick. That's not much to give for a guy that I think could bring that to this middle of the lineup, maybe of what they need.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I can't quite figure it out from Vancouver's standpoint. Like again, he had a down year last year. They had a down year collectively. Maybe it's a cap dump. I would guess they have something else cooking. Maybe they're in on someone else, or they have a couple of other things coming, and they had to unleash somebody. But for a fourth rounder in 2028. Again, I guess a little bit surprised another team wouldn't step in and offer that and possibly bring him in. Again, because he's 6'3", he's 29 years old. He's again, Nick Waugh is 6'3" and shoots right. Joshua 6'3" and shoots left. Can play center. It is going to be interesting. Like these are clearly bottom six players. This is not a guy who's going to play on the wing with Tavares or Matthews or whatever. I mean, up front. It's going to be Matthews and Knives, Tavares and Nylander, and they're going to figure out who else is going to play with them.
Michelli's got to be up there.
Michelli will be one of them.
Think.
Maybe it's Max Domi is another one. They're going to work that out. But I think in the bottom six, you mentioned Lawton, Joshua, Lawton, Waugh. Like you've got three veteran guys who I think can play center. They can play the wing if need be. I think this is a precursor to David Kampf clearly not being a part of the team in the future. I mean, I don't think that would surprise anybody. He didn't play in the playoffs. but they're going to have to find a way to unload that.
Calle Yarncroke.
Yeah, is Yarncroke going to be a part of this?
Dakota Joshua fills more of a role, like a clearly defined role that makes your team harder to play against than Calle Yarncroke. Yarncroke's like he's a versatile guy.
Do you think he'll play center, Frank, or do you think he'll play up? Like, could you see a scenario where it's Matthews, Tavares, Waugh, Joshua? Like that's your 1, 2, 3, 4 up the middle.
Could be, yeah. Like it could give you flexibility. Like you could go Lawton, you could go Joshua. I think when he was playing his best in Vancouver, Bluger was the center, and it was Garland, Bluger, and Joshua. So in my mind, I see him coming into the fold as a winger, but at least you have a little bit of flex that way.
And it gives them a bit more chance to get more minutes too. When you're playing fourth line center, not getting as many as the third line left winger. Obviously, I'm talking 5-on-5. I don't know if he fits in. Well, obviously, probably not power play. Maybe some penalty kill. But I see him as a big, heavy winger. You know, when you're playing against the Florida, he can go out there and he can get to those D. He can make it happen. Like 2 years ago, he was a really impact player for the Canucks. Again, last year not there, but I think this is a sneaky pickup if he can get back to that level.
Yeah, it's an interesting move. The Leafs acquiring Dakota Joshua from Vancouver for a 4th-round pick in 2028. Now, again, part of that could be because he does have some term and some money that the Leafs, because Vancouver's not retaining any money that we're aware of as of right now. Maybe that's basically what this is. It's a salary dump, effectively, which that could be what Calle Yarncroke turns into, who is still a good player in the league, like can play. David Kampf can play. Like there's going to be a market for him to play somewhere in the league. There's 32 teams. Can he be on the 4th line in San Jose? Yeah, I would think he probably can, or go back to Chicago or something like that. But if Joshua's getting a 4th, that's what you would expect at best. If you're going to move off those two guys, you're not going to get anything.
Well, and now, Hayes, think about Toronto's lineup, okay? So you're going to have, let's say you have Nyes on your top line. You can have some combination now of, Bobby McMahon, Dakota Joshua, Nicholas Waugh, Scott Lawton, and, those are the guys that are more, I guess, prominent. But you have bigger framed guys
Steven
now.
Lorentz is back.
Yeah,
Big
exactly.
boy.
Stevie Lorentz. You got bigger framed guys who are willing to play more of a robust kind of game scattered throughout the lineup now, where it feels like in the past it was like, we got our one guy or we got our two guys. Now it's everywhere now. It's on every single line if you want it to be.
I love that. He can do it. That guy will be physical out of 12 forwards. It doesn't work like that. And you see it with Florida. It's player after player coming in. And being physical doesn't mean blowing guys up. Being physical can also be, driving the net hard or taking a puck wide or winning a puck battle against someone else. That is also being physical. I think sometimes